What's going on, Collective listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Samson Strength Coach Collective podcast. Obviously, as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Today, we have Nicole Jimenez, who is the head strength and conditioning coach for Missouri State women's basketball. She and I go way back, and from our days at UConn. And this is an excellent episode. Obviously, it's she brings a lot of great insight as to how she manages some of the in-season load, and obviously some of the adjustments she makes, how she thinks about things, the lens she looks through when programming, and for her coming in to a new situation as well, it's really great insights to how she was able to handle something like that, and her plans for the future for this particular team. But great stuff overall. So enjoy the episode, and we'll catch you guys on the back end. Yeah, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Would love to just first, why don't you tell us where you are currently? What is your current job title? Because I know you've been bouncing around and all that kind of stuff, and I know, but like where are you at, and who are you working with right now? Let's get that on record first.
Well, first, thank you, Anthony, for having me.
No doubt.
And it's good seeing you.
Yeah.
I'm currently at Missouri State.
Missouri State, and then the teams, and which teams are you working with there?
Women's basketball and women's golf.
And that's why you are so busy, and it was tough to find a time to actually. Okay. So all right. So yeah, you're in. Yeah. So that's awesome though. That's super cool. So like, just for context for all the listeners, like obviously I met Nicole when we were at UConn, and you were at UConn for a little bit, right? Like how many years were you at UConn for?
It was about 8 to 9 months.
Yeah. Okay. So not. It seemed like so much longer than that. Dang. Maybe it's because my time there seemed like it took so damn long. I was like, but yeah, no, that's awesome. All right. Yeah. Because you were working with Hootie on women's basketball. So anyway, before we get into all that, I just want to let you tell your story. Obviously, like for the listeners, I was telling Nicole, I think there's some like caffeine in this tea or something like that. I don't know what is going on, but I'm like super sensitive to caffeine. So if I'm a little extra wired for this particular podcast, I apologize. Probably talking way too fast already. So I'm going to slow things down. I'm going to let you talk, Nicole, and let me know. You can take this thing as far back as you want. Like I know you're not like super old or anything like that. I don't want to make you seem like you're super old, but
Thank you.
Take us as far back as you like. Like where did this whole thing start? Like where did this whole journey start for you? And kind of take us through the years leading up to where you're at now, obviously with Missouri State.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I grew up in the weight room. My dad was a football coach, so I was always, and he was a high school football coach, so he had to run both.
Really?
The on-field stuff, coaching them, and then the weight room sessions. So I was always around that atmosphere. I was observing and like seeing how they moved, and I was this young little kid around these big guys, but I loved it. I loved the energy. I loved the competitiveness, that these guys had, and so I have 4 siblings. We all grew up playing sports, all competitive.
You're one of 5.
Yes.
Oh, so am I. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, actually.
Well, one of 4.
Oh, 1 of 4. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
No, 1 of 5. Sorry, I get what you're saying. 1 of 5.
Yeah. You're 1 of 5,
including me.
So where are you at in the rankings, and what's the breakdown?
I'm in the middle.
You're the middle child. Do you have middle child syndrome like my brother?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right, that's good. So and then how many girls and boys are there?
So I have 2 older sisters, and then I have 2 younger brothers.
Oh, that's sick. That's a great mix up. That's a great combo there. All right, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no. So my mom was an only child, only mother raising us, a single parent raising us 5 kids, and so just
wow,
seeing her work hard, trying to get us to every AU or practice, like she made it happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, so from there, that's kind of where like my passion, I guess, would kind of started, with sports and all of that. And then I obviously played basketball. I played JUCO in Broward Community College for 2 years, and then I transferred over to Seton Hall, which is in New Jersey.
Yeah, nice.
Big move. So I'm from Miami, Florida, so it was like a complete culture shock.
Oh, okay.
Especially with the weather.
Yeah.
But anyways, played basketball at Seton Hall, and my athletic trainer. At first, I was getting my undergrad in psychology, so I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was even like playing with the idea of playing overseas.
Yeah.
And then my athletic trainer was like, "You should look into, strength and conditioning. Go to Springfield College. like you love the weight room. And mind you, like I'm 5'2", so like I always had to do the extra stuff. um,
Yeah.
so I was always in the weight room, and so I met with Glenn Klein. He's over at Rutgers, um, and he kind of spoke to me on what the field is like, what you're gonna have to go through, even like salary wise isn't ideal, things like that. That he was just preparing me and making sure like if this is what you want to do, like this is some of the things that you're gonna encounter, and it may be difficult.
Yeah.
So I loved it. Got into Springfield College, did my 2 years there. I was a graduate assistant my second year. Had multiple teams between basketball, soccer, diving, gymnastics. It was a great experience. Like I loved it.
That's sick.
And if anyone's looking to go get their master's degree, Springfield College is where it's at.
Yeah.
You get hands-on experience. You're very, very, very much involved, and they're just continuing growing over there with technology and stuff like that. So it's awesome. I mean, Dr. Thompson and Dr. both of them, MK Fight and Adam Fight, like they're amazing people.
Yeah.
They took me under their wings, and they're one of like the reasons why I'm where I'm at right now, for sure.
That's awesome.
Because I will say I wasn't the best student.
But
anyways, that's a different story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel that.
So yeah, after I did my 2 years there, then I got my internship over at UConn. And then in between, I interned with Rutgers. I had a virtual internship with Elon because of COVID.
Right.
But they still did an amazing job. Like
the virtual internship. Yeah, that's why I would see that all the time, and I'm like, dang, how does that work? Like I had an idea of how it might work, you know what I mean? But yeah, how did they make that? Was it you just had like constant contact and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we met with a bunch of different strength coaches that they would connect us with, and then it was obviously on Zoom, and it was either different presentations or it was a live Q&A. And then each day was something different. We also had to send them like programs. They would look over it, give us feedback.
Sure.
They did a really good job. Like I learned a lot, even though it was virtual and I was like hands-on as much.
Oh yeah, that's sick.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And then, so yeah, after UConn, then I got the job at Sacred Heart. I know it sounds crazy, but I was only there for 2 months, literally 2 months.
Yeah.
Because then I got the call from Coach Cunningham, which is where I'm at now, Missouri State. And I mean, it was just one of those situations where it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Sure, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I loved Sacred Heart and the people there and the athletes there. I mean, I was working with rugby, which I had never worked with before, and I loved it. It was a physical contact sport. I mean, these females got after it. Yeah. So that was fun. Obviously, I worked with women's basketball.
Yeah.
But anyway, and also volleyball. So I loved having multiple sports and stuff like that, but I knew where I wanted to end up, and which was to primarily like focus on basketball.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you know Coach Cunningham and her resume, where she's been and who she is, and now I've had the opportunity to know who she is as a person.
Sure.
Outside of what you just read on her.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
She's an amazing person. Yeah. So I'm right now in Missouri State.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, congratulations. That's super cool. I mean, it's always wild, and that's what I think I like about the podcast. You get to talk to people who like you had talked to like at a previous point in their life, and then obviously now, you know what I mean. It's like you made like you said, like 2 or 3 steps since I had last talked to you, right? So, no, it's super cool. That's super cool. And I'm sure the people at Sacred Heart, like everybody knows how this stuff works. You know what I mean? And even in that situation, like obviously, I'm sure you handled like
it was hard.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because it's always the players, right? Like, and it's like the players, and it's like the coaches who actually give you an opportunity to like express your ideas and thoughts and like work with them and stuff like that. I'm assuming is that what was probably the most difficult piece, right? It was like the fact that someone trusted you first, right?
Yeah, for sure that. And then I still get messages from them, and they're good kids, like checking in on me, and I'm like, you should be checking in on me. Like, I'm good. Like, how are you? Type thing.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest thing was like Coach Fee. He's developing something over there, and then I just left within 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry,
that's
but
so it's always tough. But yeah, he's a good dude though. But like
he's
he
awesome.
knows,
Yeah.
like he gets it. You know what I mean? And I think I mean, as an athlete, like if I was doing the same thing, I'm like thinking to myself, dang, she's going out to Missouri. Like, yeah, that's probably why they're checking on you because us East Coast people, like we don't know what happens in the middle states. You know what I mean? Those like flyover days, like those landlocked states where there's like no beaches and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, what goes on out there, man?
Well, they were before I left. They were like, "Oh, have fun in Misery State or whatever." I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
No, I got a few friends from that area actually. I've heard nothing but great things. So like
No, it's not
is
bad.
it
It's
like
not.
I mean is it like beautiful where you're at? Like is it like a city or is it like I don't even know where Missouri State is like.
It's Springfield. It's in Springfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's small.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like probably like 30 minutes from Ozarks.
Nice.
Um,
That's sick.
I mean,
Have you gone
if
there
you
yet?
like the outdoors, I've driven by it. I
Mm.
haven't actually like gone there yet. I mean, technically we are still in the Ozarks, but you know what I mean with the
Yeah.
lakes and everything.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, if you like the outdoors and stuff like that, like there's things to do.
Yeah.
Um, I like fishing. I like hiking, so I'm always trying to find
Oh, okay.
places where I can do those things.
Yeah.
So I keep myself busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you're from Miami,
It's
so
what
like
you make of it.
that's a little bit of that's totally different.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, no, it's very different. Very
yeah.
different.
That's cool. That's cool. So as far as like your responsibilities right now with basketball, like what does that consist of? Because obviously you guys just came off the season, right? Like you said it ended like 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? So
Yeah.
how was the season for you guys? And like maybe you want to talk a little bit about like what it felt because you jump in there like right before the season started? Was it like right where the season
Yeah.
started?
So I was here in April.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah. So
so last April. So a year and
so
a
you had
half.
a little, yeah. So you had the summer, obviously, to kind of like express spring and the
Yep.
summer to kind of implement. But how was that? Like first like time, like obviously like big basketball stage. You know what I mean? You're running the show, right? So how was that for you? That transition? What were some of the thoughts that were going through your mind?
Um. So your first question is how was the transition,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous.
Hell yeah, I would be too.
um, you've got Coach Cunningham coming from Notre Dame. She's been around the best of the best. Um, so yeah, I was nervous. But then once I got to know her and what her expectations were, um, and she allows me to do my job. She doesn't micromanage.
Nice.
So once I understood that, then I just got rolling.
Yeah.
Um, I think honestly, maybe the hardest transition was just obviously it's a totally different. Like we don't have a strength and conditioning department. We don't have a director like
Really?
UConn does. Yeah. So like little things like that was hard.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to look to someone for answers and there wasn't any.
Yeah, yeah.
They all left already.
So how is it set up there then if there's no like strength and conditioning department? Like is it just it's just the
So
coaches? Like that's it? Like it's just you know what I mean? And you guys kind of just do your thing?
basically, I mean, my supervisor is my SWA,
Mm.
and then obviously Coach Cunningham. Um, but I mean, as you know, like they're not really in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was hard at first. So that was a hard transition. Um, and then I guess the hard transition as well was like it was a brand new staff coming in. Like AT was new. The entire staff is brand new.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no one knew what happened previous or whatnot. Even like the girls that we had a brand new roster.
Yeah. That's
Almost from almost all 12 kids are brand new,
yeah.
except for like a few of them, like 3 or 4.
I guess that could be a good thing in some cases, right? Like everyone's kind of coming in together, and
Yeah,
you guys can all get a chance to grow together. That kind of what the way you looked at it.
exactly,
Yeah. So
exactly.
I
Yeah,
think that that's
culture wise and all that.
yeah, because I think like that's probably like the toughest piece is if you have anything that's been done prior in terms of tradition, it's kind of tough to come in there. And so, yeah, so like as you guys started to get moving, like was it pretty easy to connect with some of the? I mean, you're super personable, so like was it
Yeah.
pretty easy to like start connecting with some of the the athletes and just like you said, like the coaches are all brand new too, so they got to be thinking like, oh, like what are we getting ourselves into here? Like what's this going to be like? Yeah,
Yeah, I think in the beginning, right, it was just like trying to figure out, okay, when would be the best time to train our athletes,
sure,
before or after practice, in the morning or in the afternoon or midday, like things
yeah,
like that. Um, I mean, it wasn't hard, but again, just communication,
sure,
right?
yeah,
Um, And then we figured that out. As far as the athletes goes, they're great. They're a great group of
Yeah.
kids. I love working with them. I really don't have any like much trouble with that area.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
I didn't think you
coaching is
would.
probably the easiest part of the day.
Yeah, that's what
Like
I was.
that's the fun part of the day. Like let's go, let's get after it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. That's the easy stuff, right? As I figured, you would have
yeah,
no problems with any of
yeah,
that stuff. It's just a matter of like all the logistics and stuff, and then obviously, so and you guys are playing like on
exactly.
a pretty grand stage, like you guys are playing some big time teams and stuff. So it was
Mhm.
like the travel and all that kind of stuff. Like, was that something that you had to get used to, or was it like working on that stage something you're pretty comfortable with?
No, for the little time that I was at Sacred Heart, I was traveling with them, so I kind of had a feel for what to do in the hotels and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
nice.
And I was an athlete myself, where we were traveling a lot,
All
so the
right, yeah,
traveling piece, like I was used to that,
sure,
where you're constantly having to pick up and leave during the weekends and whatnot.
sure.
Um, Obviously, that's not for everyone, but I'm okay with it,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Because you want to be there. You've been a part of a lot of things in the process with these kids. Like you want to go to their games. If they need anything, you're there. If they need to be stretched, if they need to do some exercise, like you want to be there.
yeah,
You know. Um, and then I also have my hand in nutrition as well. So like we'll be on the roads and I'm making them smoothies or PBs and J's and things like that.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Um, so yeah, I mean traveling's fun too. You get to see different parts of different states and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's sweet. And as far as like the actual, like as you started to get your bearings a little bit and that communication with, the coaches and things like that, like how did that actually start to like formulate? Like how did it get to a point where you're like, all right, now I'm able to kind of feel like is it at the point now where you feel like you can kind of like express your opinion on certain things and maybe even like communicate all that kind of stuff? Like do you feel pretty comfortable doing that?
Um, Honestly, like she made it very easy from the get go. I
Oh,
think
okay.
I actually probably put more pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Like she was like probably she wanted me to say more
Hmm.
or I guess do more,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like I'm not used to this.
Sure.
I'm used to always like being questioned or in a sense micromanaged or being told what I can and cannot do.
Right.
So then when I was given the other end of the stick, I was like I didn't know what to do. Like I don't have to.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Our strength
I
coaches,
guess
man,
in a
we've
sense,
been in jail for so long, and he's like, "You let us out." We're like, "Yo, what? I don't know how to live a
yeah,
regular life. This is crazy." Yeah,
yeah, exactly. No, she's one of those people where you're an expert at this, I'm an expert at this, and she lets you do your thing
yeah, yeah.
as long as you're having these kids produce and they're able to do what they're supposed to do.
Sure.
And she makes that known. Like I won't ever forget the first time we spoke in a meeting, and she was just kind of like, I want no injuries. I was like,
All
oh, okay.
right, I have an idea.
But I get what she was saying, like,
Yeah,
um, but no, she's great. She's awesome to work for. Like I said, I probably made it harder on myself.
yeah,
But she keeps her door open and she's open to discussion. And if she sees something, then she'll let me know, and vice versa. So
yeah.
it's good.
That's a pretty tall task, though. I mean, you come in there like if I had a coach come in there, and be like, "Hey, I want no injuries." I'm like, "All right, I got the perfect plan for this no injury thing that we want, right? We're just not going to show up to any of the games, and we're not going to
Right.
practice at all either." And they'd be like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, no, it's like honestly one of the best, like most foolproof, like robust plans I can ever put. Like we talk about injury prevention, we're just not going to play the sport at all, and we'll never get injured, and we will lock that in. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough. But like, so as far as like obviously like communicating like around injuries and stuff like that, like were you able to like how did you kind of like break it down to that like hey like the injuries are probably going to be a result of like practice load and like obviously like how we're kind of meshing
Well,
some of these things or did you or like were you like new job and you're just kind of like all right I'm gonna just promise this woman whatever I need to promise her to make her happy and then I'm just gonna go out there and do it the best I can.
no, I mean, it was kind of like I get where she was coming from. Like,
Yeah,
just make sure that things are limited and
yeah,
we're reducing
that's good.
certain things.
Yeah,
And she was great with that because so we have catapult, and so we
nice.
were able to utilize load management,
Yeah,
and she was in on it.
yeah,
So um,
that's sick.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, I don't know, like she's great.
Yeah.
She was great. It was easy to talk to her. Obviously, there's always bumps and roads. It's not always easy, but it's
Sure.
just two people trying to be on the same page and
Yeah.
trying to clear things up and communicate.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously do what's best for the kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What were some of the things that you thought, like, as far as like obviously being able to, I'm sure you did some reflecting. I know you don't have a ton of time to reflect on like things that went well throughout the season or whatever, because it's kind of like quick turnaround. You just guys like get back into it or whatever. But yeah, what were some of the things that you thought you did well from like a strength and conditioning perspective? Like, I'm sure you were probably like, all right, like this is going well. I really like this. And then like, here's something for next season that I might want to kind of like tweak a little bit if you can let us in on some of that information, obviously.
yeah, it's funny that you asked me that because Coach had asked me that in our like meeting, like reflecting on the season.
Yeah.
Um, and I had actually made like a whole PowerPoint and I broke it down.
Oh, dang.
I
Good.
didn't expect her to ask me that, but
Uh,
I'm glad I had it prepared
yeah. Yeah.
because it's so much, right? So you have your off season, you have your in season, you have your postseason and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of coach that programs on a daily.
No.
Um, I know not most do that. I know you guys have like 2 to 4 weeks and then you change your program, things like that.
Sure.
Um, so I have a bunch of notes because I do it on a day to day basis. Um, and so I was able to show her my PowerPoint in a sense, like my notes for myself. And then she was like, oh, okay, like you
Yeah.
have it handled then. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and I mean, honestly, I'm still learning and I'm still growing. So even if I might have thought that it went well, it probably didn't. So
Yeah.
I'm always constantly having to go back because that's the thing too. Like one athlete might have felt it went well, and then another one might not have felt benefits from it,
Sure.
from the certain exercise or program that we had that day, right?
Yeah.
So you're constantly having to revamp things and change things.
Sure.
Um, and I'm sure one of the big things right now is like isometrics,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
These kids coming in are very young and all they're doing is playing basketball.
Right.
Like all they're doing between AAU, they've been playing since they were like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about females here where like that's all they're doing and they haven't lifted up a weight,
Right.
you know. Um, and I mean that's a whole rabbit hole that we can go into, but
Yeah.
um, that's kind of like what I was dealing with this first group. It was taking into perspective that they haven't trained for years, and then on top of that, it's probably been like 2 years
Right.
that they haven't played between COVID and then kids who either didn't play or then I'm having freshmen coming in.
Right.
So we just needed a solid base
Yeah.
at first. Um, I wasn't too I wasn't really on top of like their conditioning because I knew that was gonna come with practice.
Sure.
So like my main focus then was just making sure that they were strong enough to handle the forces that were about to come in our
Yeah.
3 hour practices from our 8 hours a week to our 20 hours a week.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like my main focus in the top of my head. But then looking back, right, I'm like, okay, I could have done a little bit more like conditioning stuff.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there are things like that I'm looking to change and make some changes on. But again, like I said, like my main focus is just making sure that they're strong enough, their hips are stable, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the whole chain from top to bottom
Yeah.
was strong enough to one handle these girls that they were going to play against at this level.
Yeah.
Missouri State is known to win and go to the NCAA tournament.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a lot that I would have loved to have changed, but I guess that's why I have this year and
Yeah.
continuing to make those changes and
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's always tough to do everything in one year, right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
for
and it's
sure.
like one of those things where like if you're everywhere, you're nowhere, right? So it's like you focused on like
Exactly.
one or two things that you wanted to be like great at and obviously check off that box. And I think that I personally like that idea, right? Like, and I totally understand where you're coming from where it's like, hey, listen, we're gonna get a lot of that aerobic work, that like specific style of conditioning from playing the sport itself. So it's like, do I need to like, should I like take a ton of time when you probably don't have a ton of time anyway to like work with them,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, why not just use that time to obviously build them up, get them robust? Because like you said, and I think that like you said, like
Yeah.
it's kind of a thing with like all basketball players, a lot of basketball players I've worked with, like they're all great, you know what I mean? But a lot of them do just
Mhm.
play basketball, right? And they've done that for like a long
Mhm.
time, like men's and women's, like a lot, like even like high schoolers I've worked with, you know what I mean? Like they just play basketball. And so um, I think they're, and then they get in the weight room, and as long as you kind of like, you know, kind of like tailor it in a way where it's like, okay, like, hey, here's how we're gonna help you out. And I think like things like isometrics for those guys and like all that kind of stuff, I think it'd be great, But it's like as long as it doesn't mess up their jump shot, they're all in. Like they're cool with it. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. Like as long as they're like, hey,
Yeah.
coach, like as long as it just doesn't mess up my shot, like I'm down for whatever. Like they're all usually cool dudes. So like I don't know. I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from. The programming day to day, that I also like because I feel like, especially in season where it's like you don't know what your body's going to be giving you, on any given day, coming off game days, coming off practices, whatever. No idea like what really is going to be touched on. I'm assuming you kind of had like some like general themes or whatever that you try to like stick with throughout like some of that
Yeah,
programming, right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's and then yeah, maybe like this year because I always kind of battle with that same concept. Like, how early out do we really need to start doing all this aerobic work? You know what I mean? And really try to. And I know it's one of those things where it's like it's a quality that takes a little while to develop. I know you can hang on to it
Yeah.
for a little bit, but it's like, you know, maybe you have more time with them this year. You kind of like take your time with some of that stuff. But I agree. Like I think that's a great plan. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking about. I'm like thinking like high schoolers coming in, having to play against some of the players that like some of the females are gonna be playing against. Like shoot, like those girls would toss me
Mhm.
around. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, you know what I mean? I'm like, dang, like
Yeah.
it's no joke. So no,
Mhm.
that's cool. But yeah, so as far as like the day-to-day programming and stuff, like how would you kind of like maybe like walk us through for like some of the people who are like, hey, how does that work, right? Like maybe some of like the just like the general thought process you would have coming in on like a morning or something like that. Like, all right, like here's what I saw yesterday. Like what were your thoughts on some of that?
Yeah, I mean, we have Sparta force plate, so I utilize that a lot.
Nice.
Um, Honestly, a lot that I've learned from, I learned from Hoodie.
Yeah.
Um, so just being under her, and observing her and what she did and how she did it and why she did it, right?
Yeah.
I kind of took that over to Missouri. Obviously, of course, I have my hand in it too, right? Like it's not just, um, I guess, Hoodie's program in a sense.
Oh,
She
sure.
was
Yeah.
doing the same thing, like changing things from the day to day. But I think that comes with the process of like having a good eye for movement, right? Where let's say you did have something planned for that day, you can change it on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, you don't look good right now. Like, I'm cutting you off right now after this set.
Yeah.
Um, Things like that. So having a good eye for movement, being being aware of your athletes and how they move and why they move.
Yeah.
Like I had out of my three freshmen, two of them came in with already torn ACLs.
Wow.
So their movement by mechanics were awful.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, I bet.
Um,
Yeah.
so with them, it was like, okay, we're gonna do this today. All right, you come in tomorrow, jump for me. Let's see how you did.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? It's obviously again communicating with them. How are you feeling today? Oh, I'm not feeling so well. My hips tight or whatever. All right, we'll do this instead.
Sure.
So it's a day to day thing between communicating, using our Sparta force plates, um, and then going from there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your
No, it
question, but
definitely does. That's the thing. Like I mean, obviously, it helps when you have technology, right? And you can like kind of use some like
yeah,
actually have some
exactly.
like data to be able to, and it probably helps too whenever you're trying to like communicate something to a coach too. It's like, hey, this is what I base my decision off of. I was
Yeah.
thinking more along the lines of too, like you think about like a day to day style of programming, and it's like sort of like that non-linear way of looking at things where you just know the season
Mhm.
is not going to
Mhm.
be linear. Like, man, it's like it's just it's
Exactly.
wild, right? But I think it's super helpful. I guess my thought, like if I was to do it, I guess I wonder if it's like did you try to stick with like similar movement patterns in terms of like some of the
For
exercise,
sure.
right? Like that's probably the
For
only thing
sure.
that I would think might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'll let you elaborate on that. Yeah,
No, yeah, for sure. You still have your main movements, right? Like
yeah,
your squats, your hinges.
yeah,
I'm a big Olympic weightlifting coach, so
yeah,
my cleans were in there.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, just making sure. I think the biggest thing is like one kid may have a shoulder issue, another kid may have a foot issue, so you're incorporating more things to work on those
sure,
movements.
yeah,
Um, and then like you still have your meat and potatoes.
yeah,
Maybe your little side dishes are different for each athlete.
yeah.
Um, so that's kind of how I did it. And then I think the cool thing that is new that I learned this year and I'm still working with figuring out new ways, and seeing if it is even working, is Sparta Force Plate. They have a jump shift now. So we've incorporated like using your non-dominant.
Oh, okay.
I say non-dominant to my athletes.
Mm,
Your non-dominant leg, whether it's, I mean, we could change it. It could be your posterior chain, it could be knee dominant, hip dominant, whatever the case may be.
sure.
But we'll only use that one side. Um, and what we've seen so far is they're jump shifting away from their injured leg, from their
Okay.
previous injured leg.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes like the eye can't catch that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's wild.
Um,
Yeah.
So like you think you're looking at their squat like, oh, it's perfect. They go to the force plate and it's like way above 10. So the scale is from 0 to 10.
Yeah.
And I'll have kids, shifting like 25. And I'm like, whoa, okay, like
Mm,
we need to make some changes, right? So,
yeah.
um, and then they'll come in the next day and it's like 5. It's like, okay, so something's happening. But then we started to find different trends and like, okay, post games, they're really shifting over.
Yeah.
And then
Damn.
anything around the games, like they were fine. Like it was pretty even or whatnot. So that just goes to show you, like post games, they're probably favoring a lot. They're doing the same move, or
Sure.
you know what I mean. That's what they feel more comfortable doing on the court,
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. There's a
especially
little
if
bit
you're
more.
right hand dominant or if you're left hand dominant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so again, I think just like anything, and Hoodie has said this many times, like um, there's got to be a balance, right? And then also understanding that like there's no solution, right, to anything. You're always gonna lose something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's trying to figure out, okay, what am I willing to give up,
Sure.
right, to make sure that we're able to gain something else over here.
Yeah.
So that's something that like I'm always going back and forth with my head when I'm writing like our training programs and stuff like that. Like, what am I willing to, give up for a little 2 weeks or 3 weeks? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
trade-offs, the
but yeah,
compromises. Yeah.
so
Yeah. So it's yeah, because I think those trade-offs and compromises are so crucial. Because like that's how like I feel like I would always try to communicate things to coaches too. Like you'd be like, hey, if you want to do this thing or you want to do that thing, this is what we would be getting from it. This is what we would be compromising, like in the trade-offs and kind of stuff and things like that. So I would imagine that. See, at first when you talked to me about like the jump shift, I was thinking that one might be favored or whatever after a post, just solely based off of like fatigue, right? But you're talking about just because of the fact
hmm
that just like the movement pattern is just like being ingrained over and over again throughout a game, obviously. And yeah, I think like you said, like you're probably thinking like, I mean, some of those like compensation patterns or whatever probably would have made some of these athletes so successful to begin with too, right? You know what I mean? And
exactly,
maybe whether like
exactly.
stemming from an injury or not, you know what I mean? But it's cool that you have access to that. That's wild. That's got to be like pretty eye opening because like you said, to the trained eye, you're not going to see that.
Yeah, and Anthony, like you make a good point. Um, like you said, these kids made it this far because that's who they are and that's how they play the game,
Yeah,
right? They were recruited because of the way they play the game in a special way. Everyone's different,
yeah,
right? And I think that's where it's hard, where um, you're trying to have this balance of like, okay, am I going to completely mess up the game, right? Or am I trying to, help them and reduce the chances of injury, right?
sure.
And that's something that like, Hoodie says it all the time. Like it's an art. At the end of the day, like what we do and in the ways that we do it, and I know we all do it differently as coaches. At the end of the day, it's an art.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, on how we program and how we get our athletes ready to perform at the end of the day.
yeah,
And I think that's why it is crucial to have a relationship with your athletes,
yeah,
and to also tell them why you're doing what you're doing. They know their body's best, and so I think we need to listen to them when they're saying, "Hey, this is hurting," or "this." They know their body's best.
yeah.
Sometimes they don't, and you got to teach them.
Yeah.
you know, they don't know the difference between the quad and hamstring, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think the most important part is just making sure that we're just observing, we're aware, and we're listening.
Yeah.
And we're not just, oh, this is the agenda for today,
Yeah, yeah. That's a partnership,
so
right? There's like a partnership involved and all
exactly.
that stuff. Yeah, for sure. That's cool. I have no doubts that obviously you go about it approaching it that way too. So that's cool. How we doing on time right now? I know you gotta. What's that? What's your hard stop?
I'm yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they
Yeah, you just let me know. I want to be conscious of that because I know you actually have like places you got to go. You don't work from home like me, so probably got to get in a car and drive somewhere. But yeah.
yeah.
So kind of going off of that, I would love for like I always like forget to ask, but I want like I'm trying to like extend resources, right? Like as much as possible. So like to listeners, so anything in particular that you feel like you pulled a lot of information from, whether it be like book, podcast, a person that you feel like is really like anything that you feel like is really sort of like influenced the way that you know kind of like view things, and it might even be something that like you didn't even realize would like influence the way that you're thinking as much as it does, you know what I mean? But you know, anything that like any resources or whatever that you think might that might help some of our listeners in terms of checking things out.
That's a good question. Because I'm constantly reading, like whether it's articles that are coming out and stuff like that. And I think too, whenever something comes up, then you go dive deep into that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Kind of like sparks the
like
interest a little bit. And then like you like go,
exactly.
you get, yeah, that's kind of like what I like about the podcast. Like I feel like the podcast should kind of just like spark interest, not necessarily give like all the answers, but like force people to kind of like go and find the answers and like want to like dig
Yeah.
deeper. Cause it's like, you know, you say you got down these rabbit holes, spend your whole weekend. Next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, damn, Sunday. Like where did I go? I was in the dungeon all weekend. So, but yeah, I mean, it could be like articles, whatever. Yeah, like it doesn't even have to be anything specific. It could just be like a thought process too, like the way that you think, and then some of the people that have like influenced you. You know
I
what I mean?
think.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, everybody's got the
But
way they
I
think.
don't
You
think
know.
people want to know the way that I think. Cause no, I'm kidding.
No, I mean
Um,
it's crazy though because I mean think about like sometimes I'll be like sometimes you like notice things about yourself and you're like damn I've been thinking about this, I've been like viewing this through this lens for so long, and then you'd be like damn I should check that, you know what I mean? I should try to like maybe like take a look at something else. But yeah, anything that you feel like has been helpful for you.
I mean, I do listen to a lot of podcasts, especially Huberman Lab. I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah, Huberman's
I,
sick. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
He's
that
so
guy.
popular now. It's crazy. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
love him.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, his podcasts are like 2-3 hours long,
Yeah.
and the amount of information that he gives, like you have to make sure you have time to
You
like
gotta like
write
take notes.
notes and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. So I love him. And then I mean, right now I just got the A Vector by DeMarco.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that
Yeah,
one. Um,
I had Jordan on actually.
okay,
So
yep,
yeah. I had him on the podcast to talk about the book. That was a good book though. That was actually honestly because I feel like there's so many books that are coming out that are basically like
yeah,
reframing the whole concept of like load management and like, you know, look like working backwards from the demands of the game. And I feel like there's
yeah,
so many like everybody's kind of like coming up with their own system to kind of like create this like holistic approach. So every book that comes out I'm kind of like dang, is this gonna be like that one? Was actually a little different than a lot of some of the other ones that I've read, you know what I mean? Like I've read like,
okay,
you know, Governed Dynamics of Coaching, you have like The Process, right? There's
yeah,
Daniel Bove's book, I think it's a quadrant system or something like that,
yeah,
right? And then you've
yeah.
got like
That one's a good
yeah,
one.
and I'm sure there's like others out there that I'm, you know, not mentioning or whatever. But when I read this one, I was kind of like, oh damn, this is like a different way to look at this, especially for basketball too. I feel like that would be super relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you like that so
Yeah.
far?
I've just got it,
Mm.
so we're gonna dive into it
You'll
pretty
like
soon.
that. I
So
think you'll like that for sure. And then
okay,
yeah, like and then obviously if after you read it, if there's anything you know that you want to dive a little bit deeper, like I say, I had Jordan on like a while back. I want to say it was like probably a little under a year ago on the podcast where he did a really good job
okay,
explaining and breaking it down too. So I might even go back and
cool.
listen to that podcast over again, even though I try not to listen to myself at all. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
Very good. Um, no, and then obviously it's the people who's in your corner,
Yeah,
right? Who's in your circle that
yeah,
you can always reach out to, discuss certain things with. Um, I think that's helped me tremendously, especially here at Missouri State. His name's Mitch. He's a great guy. Um, he's like our PT rehab coordinator,
yeah.
and like he's constantly like we just got BFR units from Suji,
Nice.
so that's a new thing that we're implementing, which has been great, and I love, especially for some of my freshmen that will be coming in. I'm excited to use it on them.
Yeah.
And then we just got some red light therapy. So just again, just the people you hang out with, and if they're constantly growing, then so are you, right?
No doubt.
I'm a believer of like who your 4 to 5 people are. Like that's eventually like who you're gonna become or who you are.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Yeah. Your environment, your circle.
So,
Right. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Sorry. Did you have more that you wanted to say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
no.
Okay,
That's
cool.
it.
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate that, and then this has been a great podcast. I really do appreciate you kind of shedding some light on that. And because I know, like, first time I met you, I remember you like came in, you had a lot of questions, you had a lot of energy, you had a lot of like just like overall like passion. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just think it was like one of those things, like, yeah, like she's gonna be a really great coach one day. So that's why I was really happy to get you on here and obviously be able to like showcase the skills and the knowledge that you have and obviously what you're doing at that level now, because it's just crazy how quickly it happens too. Like it happens slow,
It
but then it
is.
like kind of like there's like these times where like it'll just like bang bang bang, you're like, oh dang, like I'm here now. You know what I mean? So you're in it, you're in the game, right? And it's like but I'm really glad to hear it's going well. But yeah, so we'll wrap up there. But if you have any like final thoughts or anything you want to kind of close this with or whatever, let any message for the listeners or anything like that, anything else you want to put out there, the floor is yours, and then we'll wrap up from there. Nicole, I appreciate it.
No, I mean, thank you for your time.
No doubt.
I really enjoyed this. Probably teaching me how to speak better and getting out of my comfort zone. So just continuing to do things that you're uncomfortable doing. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
no, I appreciate. No, you did great. That's awesome. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, it is a little weird getting on like recording yourself and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm used to it now, but I remember I'm like, damn, this shit is kind of weird. But no, I appreciate it. You did an awesome job.
Anthony, you know, I'm sure that was no struggle for you.
Yeah, I know. It's us Italians. We know how to talk.
I was gonna say.
we just literally just keep talking. We just like we got all these connector words and we just like fill them in there and just extend words.
I remember the first day I met you. I was like, I didn't know, like you were just going. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, I have to keep up with him. But
Yeah, I think that was at the time where I was actually drinking espresso too. I had the espresso machine in my damn office.
you probably were,
Yeah,
especially in the morning with
oh
football.
my god, yeah, I remember those days. I was like, damn, man, we would have like the whole like staff would be coming down. I had this like $500 espresso machine in my office, and we'd be like making espressos for half the squad. Like, those things will
Oh my
light you up
goodness,
too. Those were like those beans were straight from Italy too. I'm like, damn, man, it's just like,
the
nah,
good stuff.
yeah, exactly, the real stuff. Well, anyway, no, you did an awesome job. I appreciate it. I'm really glad that you got a
Thank
chance to
you.
do this. And yeah, for listeners, we'll catch you guys next time.